It wasn't always my dream to be a nutrition coach or to be a personal trainer. I did vet nursing for a few years and I just realised it just wasn't for me. As much as I loved it, I want freedom in my life, and I just knew I was never going to get that with vet nursing. I became an accredited nutritionist. From there I was like, I need to do this for the rest of my life. My experiences and my adversity in nutrition and what I had been through my preps and my struggles, through my relationship with food and my relationship with myself, and everything that I've overcome has led me to this place that I'm in now. And now I get to help other people change their lives, and I just think it's so incredible. I'm such a huge believer in everything happens for a reason, and every decision you make is just leading you one step closer to your fate. You know, me going back doing those bodybuilding shows with WBFF led me to being sponsored by Nutrition Capital, led me to being an employee with them, and it just sparked my passion for nutrition and fitness. Just follow your heart. At the end of the day, life is finite. So why would you spend it doing something that doesn't fulfill you and doesn't set your soul on fire?
Welcome back to the Comp Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Moore, and today we are chatting to a beautiful FMG wellness pro who has been highly requested by our listeners. Sian Holmes, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited for this, and I'm super keen to dive into your journey. But first, can you tell me a bit about your recent trip to Europe? It looked incredible.
It was phenomenal. It was my first trip to Europe, so very much go, go, go. We spent 6 weeks there and we did 14 flights all up across Europe. We travelled to so many countries. I'm literally lost count of it, but the longest we stayed in one spot was 4 days. So it was mainly like 1 day here, 2 days here, and we were just like, go, go, go. So it was absolutely incredible. We felt like we needed a holiday after our holiday, but it was amazing. We knew that that was how it was going to be, and that's how we had kind of planned it. So we are very adventurous, and I mean, I'm quite high-strung anyway, so I think it was like the perfect trip for me because I'm naturally quite a stress head. So I was like, why not have a stressful trip? It's just, but it was fantastic. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, incredible. I feel like we're kind of the same. Like when I go on holiday, I just want to see all the places and like do all the activities, have all the adventures. Like I don't want to just go and sit on a beach. So I think we're kind of similar in that aspect. What was your favorite spot?
Well, surprisingly, we fell in love with London. We were not expecting to love it as much. My dad is from London, so I knew that I would kind of gravitate towards that country anyway. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it was because it was at the end of the trip, we were a little bit homesick, and London is so similar to Melbourne. Like we got there and we're like, are we back home? Like this is so strange. Even the area that we're kind of staying in was like almost like a direct replica to Docklands. So we're just like, this is so strange. But and then it's obviously got the architecture and the culture in London's amazing, and yeah, I don't know, just has this charm, and we just fell in love with it. We honestly, like my partner and I said, if we were at different like times in our life, we probably would have chosen to move there after that trip. Like we just loved it so much. So yeah, London was probably our favorite, surprisingly, and then Italy. Like Italy was just, we literally walked around the whole time like we just couldn't believe where we were. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'm so happy you had a good time. How did you approach your nutrition and fitness goals while you were traveling?
So I I had all the intent in the world to try to get in, 3 or 4 training sessions while I was there, and I actually was very active in making sure that I booked hotels that had gyms. However, because I was working still while I was over there, a lot of the first half of my day was taken up by my client check-ins. So I just had to prioritize that, and then our day, kind of exploring day, started after my check-ins. And yeah, I think I worked out maybe twice, which is not horrible, but I mean, we were doing like anywhere between like 25 and 30,000 steps a day. So by the end of it, we were like absolutely pooped, and I couldn't even think about going and getting in a workout. But nutrition wise, I follow quite a flexible diet anyway when I'm in my like off season. So my foundations when it comes to nutrition is I try to get protein with every meal, and I try to get micronutrients with every meal. As long as I'm hitting that, I'll allow myself some soul foods. There was not ever one point where I was like, no, I can't eat that. Like, I need to try to stay within my calories. I don't know when I'm going to be back in Sicily again trying cannolis, so there is no way that I'm saying no to that. So yeah, I was still mindful of those kind of foundations, making sure I'm still trying to hit the foundations of my nutrition, and then allowing myself some flexibility and enjoying the culture and the incredible food that Europe has to offer. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely helps to have a good understanding of nutrition as well, so that you can have, like you said, those soul foods, but still kind of get in what your body needs. Was there ever a point, like in your fitness journey, that you did struggle with finding balance in situations like these?
Yeah, it has taken me a long time to get here. And I think, like I always it's one of the biggest learnings that I teach my clients as well, is this flexibility and being able to navigate social events, holidays, and still stay aligned with your goals. It's probably one of the hardest things to learn as well. I think a lot of people find it quite easy to go like all or nothing, they're all in, but if they're not all in, then they're all out. And that's when we see this kind of yo-yo dieting and this bad relationship with nutrition and themselves and training. So it did take me a while, I started training when I was quite young. I got into bodybuilding when I was quite young as well. And my knowledge on nutrition, like, it was basically nothing. Like, I had zero knowledge. So when I wasn't bodybuilding, when I wasn't in prep, I was just eating whatever the hell I wanted, and I would completely blow out, and then I would feel shit about myself. And then I thought, the answer to fixing that was just go do another prep so that I'm shredded again. And it was a long time until I was able to find that balance. And truly, I would put it down to finding the coach that I'm currently working with, because we worked really, really intensely to make sure that my relationship with food was maintained throughout my prep, and then now through my off season. So it's taken me a while, and it's definitely the best it's ever been, and a lot of that does come down to developing my own nutrition business and my own knowledge on nutrition. So yeah, definitely definitely hasn't always been smooth sailing.
Yeah, I think that's something that most people struggle with at some point in their fitness journey, like whether you're competing or not. So what steps do you take with your clients if they are really struggling with their relationship with food and they have that all or nothing mindset?
Yeah, so I mean, everyone's journey is going to be so different. So I think, it is definitely identifying like where their struggle is. Is it that, they've got this guilt if they eat off plan? Like, do they, maybe they don't have any knowledge on calories and macros, and they've only ever followed a plan. So when they eat off plan, they don't actually know, okay, if I choose this meal on the menu, it's going to roughly be within my calorie target. Maybe we will implement like lower calorie days and high calorie days. So then on the weekend, they've got that little bit more flexibility to enjoy a meal out. It really just depends on the client, right? So my biggest thing is education and knowledge. So a lot of the time it does come down to just educating the client on, calories, macros, and just being there to support them as well. I have had a lot of clients come to me, where they haven't been able to speak to their coach. They haven't felt like they could open up to their coach about their struggles. If they're going out to eat, they would be scared to tell their coach that they're going out and having a meal out, so they would just, hide it from them. Whereas I'm so encouraging, like I want my clients to go and enjoy a meal out. I will help you navigate how to do that. Let's track your weight afterwards. And a lot of my clients are so surprised because they're like, oh my God, my weight actually didn't go up that much. And then I hit a new low 2 days later. I'm like, wow, like it's not the worst thing in the world to go and enjoy a meal out. And most of the time your body actually responds well to it, depending. But, so I think, education and support, having this open communication with my clients where, they're not scared to come to me and be like, hey, Sian, like I had this and, I kind of feel this way after it. Like, okay, cool. Let's work through that. How can we improve that going forward? It's, I don't think anyone should ever feel scared to talk to their coach. If you do, like, I think it's a big question mark. It's a big red flag. Like, you shouldn't feel scared to talk to your coach ever. So, and that was one of the biggest learnings that I ever had. And I think that's why I've got such a good relationship now with my current coach, because the conversations are so open, and I don't hide anything. Like, if I don't understand why she's done something in my plan, I'll be like, hey, why are we doing this? So, and coaches actually love that. So question your coach. They actually love it.
Yeah, I think that communication with your coach is so important, and understanding, like you said, why you're doing things too, so that you can kind of have your own knowledge and understanding of everything that you're doing. I've seen some of your recipes as well on Instagram, and they look absolutely insane. I just saved that noodle Broadbeach like chicken curry dupe one. I'm going to have that after prep. It looks so good.
So yum.
I've been looking for like a recipe for that for so long, because I had it when I was in the Gold Coast for the first time, and I live in New Zealand, so you can't get it here. And I was like, surely someone's got a recipe.
Yeah, I reckon I hit the nail on the head with that one. I did pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself with that one. Yeah, I love cooking. I'm such a foodie. My dad's a chef, so I grew up with really delicious foods, and I was very, very lucky with the foods that I grew up with. We didn't have a lot of takeaway. It was a lot of home cooked stuff, and I've definitely found my love for food through that. So I love to, whenever I'm creating a meal plan for my clients, I'm like, I want you to enjoy it. It's one of the biggest things, so that you can continue to get these results and you can stick to this long term. It's not an 8-week thing. Like, we want to be loving the food that we're eating, enjoying it every day, not dreading it and being like, oh, I've got to eat this food again. Because if you enjoy it, then, it's so much easier to stick to. And a lot of my clients are like, Sian, I can't believe I'm eating this food and I'm still losing weight. And, I don't feel like I'm deprived. Yes, you don't need to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli. I mean, I actually love that. I'm not going to hate on the chicken, rice, and broccoli, but there's so much more variety that you can have in your plan. It doesn't need to be boring at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So you mentioned a little bit, obviously, about your upbringing and your dad being a chef. So let's backtrack a bit to the start of your fitness journey. What initially sparked your interest in fitness, and then what led you into bodybuilding as well?
Yeah, I have always been a very active kid. So I was always doing something, some kind of new sport. I was the kid in high school that the sports teachers were like, we need someone to fill in. Sian will do it. She's never played badminton before. It's fine. She'll pick it up. She'll learn it. So I was always quite an active kid, doing all the sports, sports captain through high school, sports captain through primary school. Like, loved my fitness. And in year 11, my twin brother and his best mate started going to the gym, and naturally very competitive with my twin. So I was like, what you can do, I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it better. So I tagged along to their gym sessions. I definitely didn't take advantage of my newbie gains, which I'm really upset about, because I have a lot of clients come through and I see their newbie gains and I'm like, I'm so jealous. But it was a lot of just cardio and core. Like, that's basically all I did for the 2 years. But that definitely sparked my interest in the gym. And then I got into bodybuilding. I met my first coach in my first job. So I was waitressing, and one of the regular customers was a coach, and he, like, we're quite good friends, and he basically said, like, have you ever thought about bodybuilding? And I was like, bodybuilding? Like hopping on stage and he's like, no, it's not quite like that, but he's like, have a look into it. Let me know if it's something that you want to try. And, you know, if you want to, I can coach you to stage. And originally I was like, no, I don't think it's for me. I don't know if I can, you know, hop up in a bikini and, you know, do all that. And I had a few people say to me, yeah, I honestly don't think you could do it, Sian. You love your food too much. And being an Aries, I was like, yeah, you're going to see. And I'm going to do it. So I did. And it was honestly, that first prep was to prove people wrong. I don't encourage people to do that now. It's not a good reason why, but I was 19 and I was, you know, stubborn and naive, and honestly had no knowledge in the fitness industry or nutrition, like I said. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And yeah, competed in my first few shows. Did quite well, actually. So came second and then first. And yeah, it was a bit of a journey, very, very different prep to what I do now. So
What federation was that?
So I competed in A and B back then, which I believe now is, I actually don't know if they're around anymore, but it was, yeah, A and B. And then I did WFF, and they're still around. And then my next season that I did INBA, and they're still around, yeah.
Lots of shows. And then obviously you went into WBFF and now FMG, right? Can you tell me about those shows as well?
Yes. So I honestly thought, like, after my my third show, I thought I was done. I had a pretty bad experience post-show, blew out a lot, had a horrible, relationship with my body, with food, which I'd kind of never experienced before prior to bodybuilding. So, having this anxiety around food was definitely not something I'd ever experienced. And, I got a aversion towards gym as well, because I was just in the gym like twice a day, every day. It was not a healthy prep at all. And it really just put me off bodybuilding altogether, because I just thought that's how it was. So I worked quite intensely to repair my relationship with food, with the gym, with myself, and that took 5 years. So it was 5 years, and then I decided, I started seeing, a lot of changes in the industry and a lot of changes in the way that people were prepping for their shows, and it just looked a lot healthier. There was a lot less of this kind of bro bodybuilding style that, I had kind of got into when I was so young. So I decided to give it another shot, and had seen WBFF and loved the style of it, loved the glitz, the glam, the whole show, the, theatrics of it. I loved it. It was like me all over. I was like, yes, this is so extra, and I absolutely love it. So decided to prep for that, and then we hit COVID. And COVID postponed 3 of the shows, and I believe, the last one went ahead. So I was in and out of prep for, God, it was like a year and a half. It was absolutely ridiculous. But we finally got on stage, and I placed 3rd in the bikini division for that one. Finished it. Again, I was like, okay, I think I'm done. I think I've got competing out of my system now. And then it was 2 years, I think, 2 years, and started being coached by Belle. And we decided to hit another show. So, and that's when I did wellness and bikini. I entered in both divisions. Was a little bit apprehensive about doing wellness, but she pushed me to do it, and I'm glad I listened to her because coaches know best. And we won my pro card in that one. And then the same year, so it was last year, I did my pro debut in November and came 3rd. So incredibly happy. And it was just the most amazing competing season last year. It feels a bit like a blur, but just amazing.
What an incredible journey. And that's honestly crazy to hear that you were apprehensive about doing wellness, because for anyone who has seen you and your glutes and legs, like, your shape is just wellness through and through. So did you focus on training specifically for wellness at all, or was that just kind of the muscle that you had built over the years and kind of the places that you happened to build it?
Yeah, I think I am pretty naturally gifted with a larger lower half. But in my first few preps, when I had prepped, I'd lost a lot of the size in my glutes. So kind of just thought it is a lot of it is just body fat. I don't have a lot of muscle density there. Over time, a lot of it had become muscle density, and I really do think that my first prep with WBFF was a pretty big push to fit into the bikini category, and I needed to get pretty dialed in to be small enough for it. And I think that worked against me, because then I was too shredded for bikini, and that was my feedback. They were like, you don't need to be that dialed in for bikini. So, but then I was like, if I'm not that dialed in, then I literally look like fluffy. But when I jumped on board with Belle, she was like, cool, you're going to do wellness. And I was like, no, trust me, the glutes, they lose the size. And she was like, no, you're doing wellness. She's like, I don't care if you want to do bikini, go do bikini as well, but you're definitely doing wellness. So a lot of my training then with Belle was very much wellness training. So it was, 3 lower body days, 1 upper body day. And we just hammered the lower body. So my quads grew the most that they ever have. I definitely struggle with my quad density, but they're slowly getting there. But yes, a lot of my training with Belle for the past, I've been with Belle for 2 years now, so has been very much lower body focused.
And when you say hammering your lower body, like specifically, what are you doing in the gym and what are you doing for nutrition to make that growth and those improvements that you need?
Yeah, we don't spend our whole year in a deficit. That is number one. If you want to grow, you got to eat. And for a lot of girls, that's like the biggest roadblock, right? They're like, oh my God, no, I can't eat, over 2,000 calories. But you just need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, being a little bit, fluffier, not comp shredded. In terms of my training, we did a combination of, hitting the glutes in the shortened position, the lengthened position, the hammies, multiple different variations. Quads, we were just like absolutely hammering. Quads and hammies, we were hammering a lot more than my glutes, because we knew my glutes had density. It was a lot of, let's try to get the rest of your legs to match up to the glute size. So it was actually a lot more focused on quad and hammy development, then glute development. We knew my glutes, I'm very glute dominant, so we knew my glutes were going to grow regardless. They try to help with every exercise that I do, and I'm like, stop it. Don't want my glutes to be engaged.
Girls will be listening like, I want that.
I know. And a lot of my girlfriends that are bodybuilders, you know, they're like, I'll swap you some hammies for some quads. I'm like, done.
So funny. You know, when I was watching the Olympics, I was like looking at each sport and like I'd look at the sprinters and be like, oh my God, their glutes and quads. Maybe I should do some sprinting. And then like volleyball. And then you'd see like the shoulders on some other people. And I'm like, maybe I should just pick up all these little sports and I'll like get that muscle density in those certain areas.
Literally always get so motivated to start sprinting after the Olympics.
Yeah.
I don't run at all. And so I'll do it like once and I'll be like, oh no.
Yeah.
No, I don't do this.
I love that. So then nutrition wise, in your build phases, like what are you focusing on specifically?
Yeah, it is honestly, you know, bringing those calories up quite nice and high. Generally, you know, protein's going to stay relatively the same. It actually goes up a bit more when we come into a deficit, you know, trying to maintain that muscle density. But it is, yeah, just kind of bringing those calories up, bringing that metabolic rate back up post-deficit. And, yeah, really just like fueling for that strength, that energy, so that I can push for those PBs, that intensity in my sessions. I know a lot of girls are really lucky to maintain their strength in their prep. I'm not one of those girls. I get weak as hell and I hate it. So as soon as I'm back eating at maintenance and above, I see that surge in energy. My training is incredible. So, you know, really just putting all that food to good use. So yeah, that's the biggest thing with my nutrition, is just getting that food back up, which I love. I swear I'm like bottomless pit sometimes. I don't know where the food goes. It just it's never ending.
Yeah, I love that. I love to eat as well. Like, I don't have any problem getting my calories in an off season. Like, well over 3,000 calories, I will happily eat it, and I could probably eat more if I wanted to.
Literally.
So good.
Literally.
So moving on to business, like you obviously just traveled around Europe, and you mentioned you were working while you were traveling Europe, which is pretty incredible. I think that's probably the dream for so many people, you know, whether they're in the fitness industry or not. So what inspired you to start your business, and like how did you kind of get it up and running?
Yeah, so I it wasn't always my dream to be a nutrition coach or to be a personal trainer. I actually have, when I left high school, I wanted to be a vet. So I went to school, went to uni, did my bachelor in vet bioscience. A lot of that has actually come in handy with nutrition, because animal biology and human biology is very similar. And then from there, I went and did my associate's degree in vet nursing. I did vet nursing for a few years, and through COVID I did vet nursing, and I just realised it just wasn't for me. As much as I loved it, I want freedom in my life, and that's, you know, success is not, for me, it's not about being the richest person on earth, but if I can have freedom, if I can support myself and support my family, and, you know, have what I want in life, but, you know, having this flexibility and freedom in my life is exactly kind of what I wanted. And I just knew I was never going to get that with vet nursing. And if I wanted to continue to progress in the space, you know, it would look, you know, most likely like going into a specialty, potentially emergency care, which is shift work, which is the opposite of freedom. And I just realized, as much as I love it, it's not my forever career. So I left that, and unfortunately vet nurses as well, they just don't get paid well at all. So very demanding job, mentally, physically, emotionally. For the money that vet nurses get paid, unfortunately, it just wasn't adding up for me. So I ended up leaving that, I did kind of like a halfway job, just doing reception while I was in a bit of limbo, didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up doing my Pilates certification, which I loved, and set up my own little home studio, which you can kind of see behind me, but I'm in my little home Pilates studio at the moment. I still teach Pilates on the side now. I absolutely love it, but I think that was the catalyst to me being like, okay, the fitness space is where I need to be. It's where my heart is, and that, also showed me Pilates. Like, I can work, a few shifts, make basically what I would make in a full week, just by doing, a few shifts in Pilates. So that was the biggest thing for me. And then, so while I was doing my certification, still doing this reception job, I was currently being sponsored by Nutrition Capital as one of their athletes, because I had done my bodybuilding shows and they'd sponsored me. So the owners reached out to me and they said, hey, are you looking for a job? We're looking for a store manager. And I was like, oh, I love you guys, but I don't know if I can go back into retail. I've done retail before. I don't know if I can do it again. They're like, just come. It's different. It's not your usual retail job. Just come do the interview. There's no strings attached. If it's not for you, if you don't vibe with us, cool, that's fine. Went for the interview, and it's probably one of the best interviews that I've ever done. Instantly clicked with the whole team, and was like, yep, I'm in. Like, you guys are amazing. What a vibe. So started there, ended up becoming the store manager at one of their stores. And that is what really sparked my love and passion for nutrition. At Nutrition Capital, we're so big on not just selling anything, actually consulting the customer and asking like, okay, maybe you don't need the extra strong pre-workout. Like, how's your sleep? Do we need to focus on your sleep a little bit? And getting to the core reason, what they actually need. And through that, we end up talking a lot about nutrition with these customers that would come in, and realize, just through developing my own knowledge and doing a lot of research, I'm a big science head. So if I didn't know something, if I saw an ingredient on something and I didn't know what it was, I'd be straight away researching it. How is it affecting the body? What is it doing in the body? Why is it in this pre-workout, So that really, really sparked my interest in nutrition, and then I decided to go and study it. And I became an accredited nutritionist with Sport Nutrition Australia, and from there I was like, I need to do this for the rest of my life. I was seeing the changes that I was making just in these customers' lives. They would come back and 2 weeks later and they'd be like, oh my God, Sian, that advice you gave me, 2 weeks ago, it's literally changed the game for me. And that was like getting that feedback. I was like, okay, I need to do this, and I need to keep helping change people's lives, because my experiences and my adversity in nutrition and what I had been through my preps and my struggles, through my relationship with food and my relationship with myself, and everything that I've overcome has led me to this place that I'm in now. And now I get to help other people change their lives, and I just think it's so incredible. I'm such a huge believer in everything happens for a reason, and every decision you make is just leading you one step closer to your fate. And just truly believe, me going back doing those bodybuilding shows with WBFF led me to being sponsored by Nutrition Capital, led me to being an employee with them, and that just sparked my passion for nutrition and fitness. So it is wild to think about how it's all like tiny little interconnections and how I got here. But yeah, it's the most fulfilling job I've ever done. I'm also working the most I ever have in my whole life, but I wouldn't change it. I love what I do, and I love my clients. They're just like, whenever I wake up and I'm feeling like I'm having a little bit of an off day, I jump on and do my check-in with my clients, and instantly I'm like, I'm alive.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing so much detail on the journey. I love seeing kind of like the decision-making process and how one thing led to another, because I truly believe competing definitely changed my life. And I really do think that there's so much more to competing than just stepping on stage. Like, you make those connections, you might get sponsors, you might spark something that you're interested in, or meet someone that knows a certain thing about something else. And it's just like this incredible butterfly effect that competing has on your life. And obviously you have to be driven and work hard like you do and make decisions. But what advice would you give to someone who's like maybe stepping on stage, they're working a full-time job and they've kind of been thinking about getting into PT or nutrition or online coaching, but they're too scared to leave that job security? What tips would you have for them?
Oh, the leap of faith is a scary one. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, but like, just follow your heart. At the end of the day, life is finite, right? We literally get one life. So why would you spend it doing something that doesn't fulfill you and doesn't set your soul on fire? It just doesn't make sense to me. And yes, financial security, it's great, but money will return. Time doesn't. So literally just like grab those goals by the horns and just ride it. Like, it is a wild ride. It's scary. It is fucking scary, and it's hard. Like, there's been, times in my business, and it's still such a new business. It's still in its baby phases. We're a year and a half in, and I'm grateful for every single client that allows me to, step into their life and help change their life. But it is, you have down times in your business, and it's scary. There's sometimes you're like, oh my God, like, am I actually going to make this? But if you're passionate and you stay true to your core beliefs, I think as well, like, it's a pretty saturated market. There's a lot of coaches out there, but if you're true to your core beliefs and you don't fall into the trap of trying to be like everyone else, your clients will gravitate towards you because they'll see that, authenticity. They'll see, how much you love it, and it's not just about making money. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest advice. Like, stay true to your core values and just take the leap. It is worth it. It's scary, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I love that advice. Thank you so much for sharing. So moving on to listener questions, we did get a few questions in the Instagram question box, so I'll just pull those up. There were quite a few that were the same. So the one that got asked the most was, what show are you doing next?
I don't actually have a particular show in mind. As I know it seems like quite a far way away, but probably 2026. I still think I've got about a good year to build the physique that is competitive enough to win. I won't step on stage if I don't genuinely think I'm going to win. I definitely have that, like, I love competing. I obviously, like, I absolutely love it. It's one of the best feelings, stepping on stage and, showcasing all your hard work. But I want to win. So, and the wellness standard is top tier. It is really, really cool to see the wellness category so popular now. A lot of the past, shows, the wellness category has been massive, and I'm from the feedback that I'd heard, that they're going to start considering the height categories now in wellness, because it's just huge. So the standard is top tier. I mean, we all know who the Australian reigning champ is. Abby is just phenomenal. I just look up to her so much. So, that's who I have to compete with. So if I want to be that good, I need to put in the time. And with bodybuilding, patience is your best friend. If you need to put in the hours, don't just build massive quads and massive hammies overnight, unfortunately, especially in my case. So it's probably going to take a good year. I think I'm going to you'll see me on stage probably 2026, I would say.
Yes, well, I'm very excited for that. It's just a whole nother level on the pro stage, isn't it? Like, you really need that delayed gratification and to just take that time to grow and make the improvements that you need, because, yeah, like you said, it takes time.
Absolutely.
And the next question that was asked so much is regarding any glute growth tips or muscle growth tips. Do you have anything to add to what we've
Yes.
already talked about?
Yes. Train with intensity, train with intent, and just get used to being bored, like in your training sessions, because these like sexy, like random glute exercises that you're seeing on Instagram, like they're not going to be as effective as your stock standard, RDLs, hip thrusts, squats, leg press. Like, it's those kinds of things. You just need to get used to being bored, repeating the same shit every single week, and train with intensity. I see a lot of people that just go in, fluff their workout, unless you, like, I think a lot of people don't know how to train to fatigue, like true fatigue, because there's mental fatigue where you're like, there's like, oh, I'm a bit tired, I've got some lactic acid burn, and then there comes the mental part. So you've probably got about another 6 reps in you, and it's all mental, and that is like the biggest grind, right? So those last 5-6 reps, it's like that's a deep dark place that you need to go into. But I think a lot of people haven't trained to failure before, so maybe do some one-on-one PTing, because if you've got someone external to push you to failure, like you'll kind of realize, oh yeah, okay, I actually had probably another 4 reps in me, and we need to be working within that within 2 reps of failure to get that proper muscle stimulus, and train frequently. Our glutes are our biggest body part. We can train them frequently, like 3 times a week, frequently. And recovery. Recovery is my last one. Like, don't miss out on your recovery. That's, I think a lot of people just underestimate the power of recovery. They think, going into the gym 7 days a week, you don't need to do that. If you're training with enough intensity on those 3 or 4 days, you should actually genuinely need those other days to rest and recover. So yeah, definitely recovery, intensity, get used to being bored, and your food, yes. Eat in a surplus, get out of that goddamn deficit if you want to grow your glutes. If you're happy with your glute size, sick, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to grow them, you need to eat. That's just the end of the story, right? Like, nothing's going to happen if you just keep doing what you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those tips. And if I could add just one as well, it would be do all of those things consistently for years, probably, like at least 12 months in an off season or improvement season, doing all of those things consistently, and then you'll get results. Like, don't yo-yo in and out of a build phase just because you feel a bit fluffy, or you want to do a mini cut, or you want to go on holiday and do a mini cut for that, or a photo shoot, or jump back on stage. Like, just commit to the phase you're in. It'll be so worth it. There's always going to be another show next year.
100%, my God, preach it, sister. Couldn't agree more. Like, it's like patience with the build, and some people will just be naturally gifted that they will grow muscle a lot quicker than others. So depending on your genetics as well, it might take you 12 months. It might take you 24 months. But if you're committed to it and you actually want to do it, like that's the other thing. Like, do you actually want to do it, or you're just like, oh yeah, kind of be nice to have good, big glutes, like, you're clearly not that dedicated. So definitely patience, consistency.
Yeah, love those. And what is your favorite thing to meal prep?
My favorite thing to meal prep?
Yes.
Oh my God. Playing favorites with my food at the moment. You know what? I am the biggest fiend for tuna and rice. Call me boring, but like there's just something about that combo. I don't know what it is, but it just never gets old. Tuna rice, but I also chuck like I do like my homemade tzatziki with it, some rocket, cucumber, all of that, and it's just like I could eat it every day. It's delicious.
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually cannot stand tuna. Like, I'm not a fussy eater, but that is the one thing that I can't eat, and I wish I could, because it's so convenient. You can just like pick up the tin. It always looks really good when you add like your sauces and your rice, and like I love a good jasmine rice, but I just can't do tuna, and I wish I could.
Oh, yeah, there's not a lot of things that I won't eat, to be completely honest.
No, I love that. And last question, someone said, I'm super nervous about competing in wellness in October. Do you have any advice?
Oh my God. Listen to your coach. They know best. No, honestly, I guess it's like competing in general. Literally just obviously put in the hard work. Like, prep will be as hard as you make it. So I think like that was the biggest like mindset shift for me when I was doing my last few preps. Like, prep is a privilege, right? At the end of the day, like not a lot of people can prep for a show. Not a lot of people can afford it. Some people don't have the actual physical ability to be able to prep, right? So if your body allows you to push it through a prep, like that's a privilege. If you can like afford prep, that's a privilege. And I think when you are grinding through those hard times and you're like, okay, but I can do this, and not a lot of people can, so like let's just keep like pushing through. Like, I think when it gets hard, bringing yourself back to that little bit of gratitude and a bit of reflection can definitely help. And then on show day, just enjoy it. My God, mingle with as many girls as you can. I've made the most amazing friends through prep, and they'll literally be my friends for life because we just share so many common interests. And I mean, FMG, the girls are just different. There's no cattiness. Like, it's just vibes backstage. And it's one of the things that makes it. It really is a family with FMG. I would not compete with any other federation purely because the shows are phenomenal. But the competitors are just another thing. Like, they're just amazing. And leave the nerves off stage. Like, pose your heart out, practice your posing. Like, if you think about competing, start practicing like now. And really harness that like Sasha fierce. Like, when I'm on the side of the stage, like I'm already thinking like, I'm like, this is mine. Like, that stage is mine. Everyone in the crowd is here to watch me. Like this is my show. Like, that is literally what's running through my head. And I'm like, this is my show. So you need to have that confidence, because you go out there and you need to give those judges a reason to look at you. There's how many other competitors in a sparkly bikini as well, looking freaking phenomenal, Why should the judges look at you? So give them a reason to look at you, right? You need to really turn it on. And like when you've got that kind of aura of like confidence, that's when the judges be like, oh wow, okay, who is that? And that's when I'm like, I'll show you who she is. Like, yeah, that's probably my biggest advice.
I love that so much. And I think like with confidence as well, it's not something that you're just going to naturally have, but if you put in the work during prep every day, then you're going to know that on show day, and you'll know that there's nothing more you can do. You may as well just get up there, have fun, step into that stage person, whoever that is, and just really enjoy and embrace the day, because it is over so quickly. But it's like, honestly, the best day ever. It'll be one of the best days of your life.
100%. Yeah, it literally goes like that.
Yeah, it does. It's like the longest day, but it's over so quickly.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I literally have FOMO watching all of the shows come through now, and I'm like, no, Sian, we are in a build.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be on stage. I want to be
The struggle. Well, that is amazing. Thank you so much for answering all of those questions. How can listeners connect with you online to find out more about your coaching and also follow your journey?
Well, my personal page is Shaped by Sian, where, yeah, literally I just like, mainly I'm on my stories talking shit most of the time. So if you enjoy that raw, real, like follow along for sure. And then my business page is Shaped Nutrition and Fitness. And yeah, I mean, slide on into my DMs because I love to chat with anyone new. So yes, they're probably the best ways.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
No worries. And thank you to our listeners as well. As always, if you like this episode, please like and rate it on whatever you're listening to it on. Share it to your stories, tag both of us, and let us know what you're doing while you're listening, whether you're grinding through cardio on prep, going for a drive, or just getting in steps. Then let us know what you're doing. And thank you so much for listening.